Hello and welcome to In the Light, Growing Your Soul with me, Anna Isabel. And I am very pleased because with me today is Nadine Gordon-Taylor. Hello, Nadine.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Anna.
You are here because you have created this beautiful set of oracle cards called Crystal Clear Oracle. And I guess maybe it's loving guidance from the mineral kingdom. I have, I guess, a bit of a love affair with crystals. And so maybe it might be good to hear about your first experiences with crystals. How did you get involved with crystals?
It goes back to when I was very, very young. Although my family is very scientific, they were also very much into geology. My brother studied it, and we as a family would go when I was probably under 10 to places around the area in different states and go hunting for fossils and for rocks and minerals. It was not the symbolic part of it. It was the beauty of it and the nature, part of it. So I grew up with all these rocks around me all the time. And then my brother, instead of spending a summer at camp, he chose to get a whole set of lapidary equipment for cutting stones and polishing them and tumbling them. And then he decided he didn't want to do it. So then my father took it over, and my father started making the most gorgeous jewelry out of all these, chunks of lapis. And, he actually made this particular one, blue lace agate. And I grew up with this all the time. And so to me, if I had if I had said to them, the stone is telling me to tell you, they would have absolutely thought I was crazy. But I am, since I was young, like most of us, clairaudient. I'm sensitive to things, and as I've gotten older, it's gotten clearer, louder and clearer. And this in general, when I pick up a stone, most people do have this. It just has this most wonderful feeling. But it did start when I was very little, and I just kind of grew up with them.
Is there a particular experience that stands out for you with crystals?
Oh, yes. And it's actually in the book. I had a friend who was a sort of shaman. She had these huge pieces of crystals in her home, just gorgeous things. And I was waiting for her to, and she came over to me and she handed me a huge piece of quartz crystals, gorgeous. I mean, it was the kind that was like, I don't know how many pounds it was. And she just put it in my hands and said, "Oh, I'll be right back." And she left me with it, and I'm holding it. And again, I tend to allow things to happen. Well, I'm looking at it, and then it was almost like a holographic man stood up and turned around, and he was an indigenous person, and he was looking around. I wasn't scared because I knew it was programmed in the stone. It wasn't as if he was actually acknowledging me. All I know is I went, "Oh my God." She came back, and I looked at her and I said, "There is a man in this crystal." And she goes, "I know, I wanted to see if you felt it too." And so I know that maybe not all stones are programmable, but certainly the quartzes, and there are certain ones that can pick up energy. And that really, really proved to me. I mean, is it really that everyone else would have seen it? I don't know. I saw it in my mind's eye, or in my third eye, and it wasn't there before, and it popped up while I was holding it. So I have to believe it had some connection with the actual stone. And I do believe that there are so many more qualities to stones that we are just not aware of.
Absolutely. So are you saying then that with the quartz and just this is a clear quartz for those who don't know, it's an unpolished clear quartz. And then again, if it's polished, this is what it looks like. Um, so are you saying that there's a memory in clear quartz?
I'm saying the the makeup of the cellular structure of the stone is somehow compatible, or I mean, I'm not the scientist. I mean, I ended up being the artist of the family. I wasn't the one that studied it in depth, but I do know the matrix of it allows it to happen. Some stones are better than others. I mean, with quartz, since it is a highly programmable stone, they say be very, very careful of how you act around it. So if you are having a particularly hard day, I don't know if I would wear or carry a big chunk of it around because it's a magnifier. It's going to magnify the energies around you. Now, we could go into a whole deep metaphysical diatribe about, what is real or not. I believe that more in quantum and physics. I don't believe that things are woo-woo or they're metaphysical. I don't care about the label. The fact is I've had enough experiences in my life that I believe the simple terms like what you give out, you get back, what you focus on manifests. So if you're wearing a quartz crystal and you're in a great mood, it's going to energetically surround you with the matching frequency. I can't explain to you exactly how, I just know it. And
Sorry, I was just wanting to come back to what you said about it being an amplifier. We know it's an amplifier because clear quartz was used in the old crystal radio sets.
yes,
So
yes.
they were used for that reason because they amplify the energy, sound, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And this is very important for people to understand. And we have experience of amplification. The way that sound can travel in an amphitheater, for instance. And so it's not far fetched.
Right.
It's not far fetched to think of clear quartz as an amplifier. The stretch comes in the notion that it could amplify feeling, but then feeling is energy too.
Energy. I mean, biochemically, energetically, we're a human form, but it all starts with energy. And these aren't just cliche words. When you go down to the smallest structure, atomic structure, it's moving, it's energy. Nothing is still. So I don't know why people have such a hard time understanding that maybe you just haven't learned this particular paradigm yet. Just because you weren't taught it in school doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And some people don't understand. I have a Facebook page and an Instagram, social media, and I do get comments from people from time to time. And I was talking about following your passions, and one of the best ways you could manifest what you want is to tap into your passions. Well, what happens when you're passionate? You are energetically turned on. It isn't like, of course, someone questioned it and said it didn't work for him, but I can't on a little phone have a whole deep conversation about why you might be preventing it. But everything starts with us. We are the central, let's just say the pole that gives, off the electricity, or we are it. And then how we choose to allow in or prevent in or to attract, it starts with us. I mean, I always say people who aren't able to quite understand it. I said, well, what pair of glasses are you going to put on this morning? Are you going to put on a pair of glasses that says the world is terrible? Oh, woe is me. I can't do anything. My friends are thinking about, or you're going to put on the glasses and go, for my time here on this planet, I am so grateful for anything I get to experience. And I'm going to share that with as much love. And, which pair of glasses are you going to put on? Do I feel sickly today? Am I going to repeat what my parents taught me? Am I going to repeat what my teachers taught me? Or am I going to be my own creative thinker and not allow myself to be manipulated? The crystals to me are tools. I believe everything is alive and vibrating on this planet. They are just another set of tools, and humans have been using them since they found them, from the first human that ever found them. And they wouldn't have been keeping it with them yes, they're pretty, but it's more than that. There's reasons why they assign different meanings from the very beginning of time. I don't know how, it had to be over a long stretch of time because it had to be, transferred and shifted. But I just know that nothing is random. And that's what people sometimes have difficulty understanding. I personally have had enough experiences in my life that I know that to be a fact.
It's what I find about them is that if you can sense the energy, it's something that's quite extraordinary. And sometimes, even though I am an analytical hypnotherapist and not a crystal healer, I do like to bring crystals in where I know that people are open to the idea. And without fail, when that happens, there's something extra magical
Mhm.
about people choose the crystal that they're drawn to, and they hold them and
Mhm.
feel the vibration in their hand. And I can say that there are times when I've got the clear quartz in my hand, which feels like it's jumping in my hands. Um, but green fluorite was one that the very first time I put it on my heart chakra, it was like my entire rib cage began to vibrate. It was quite an extraordinary thing. It didn't happen again. It was the very first time. And then there is this beautiful little yellow citrine that when I hold it against my sacral chakra, I just get the most exquisite waves of energy filling my body. Um, it's bliss. And of, so it's a very interesting thing because it's very personal. People are
Yes.
drawn to certain things. So how do you use them?
Well, what's fascinating was when I went to do this deck, it's the first of my 3 decks that I actually planned on making an oracle deck. The first 2 were my artwork, and the universe had plans for me with it, and it came out. But I actually, again, I have learned to listen to the thoughts that come into my mind. I don't disregard any. And I actually heard them say, "We want to speak." And I knew my home is surrounded by crystals. I only have a few here, my lilac, oh, rose quartz. Um, I actually started to get thoughts, and that's what I wanted to share with your audience is that anyone can do this. It's kind, I guess it's kind of like being on the spectrum. You start one place, and the more you do, and the more something will shift. So I used to just hold them, look at them, as many as I could draw. The images in the book, many of them are from my own crystals. I didn't own every one. Some of them are quite rare and expensive, but I would hold them in my hand, and I would, of course, photograph them, and I would look and see what I want to do. And I found something very interesting happen. I started, for lack of a better word, I'll say channeling. I'm not sure if it's, but I started to get thoughts, right? And I said, well, I'm going to jot these thoughts down just in case. So you don't have to be a geologist, and you don't have to be a metaphysical genius and study all the symbolism. All you have to do is start by picking up a stone and trusting that the vibrations that you're feeling can be shifted into, it depends on how you receive it. It could be visual, could be verbal, the kind of way. I actually started to get information from it, and I would jot it down, and I would try it over and over again. Did it just happen one time? Is this just me thinking it's happening? So I would try it again, and I'd go, yeah, I'm picking up some interesting stuff. So for me, it was an evolution. I didn't do that as a child. I just had them around me, and they were pretty, and I loved the chunks of stones that they would cut up and things like that. But as I have evolved and trusted myself more and believed in the my healing abilities, which I don't think I always did allow over my younger life, I found that everything is opening up at the same time. So I definitely tend to have mediumship qualities now. I probably always had them, but I was too afraid when I was younger. And with the stones, I didn't surprise me. Yes. Oh my God, the first time I put Moldavite on, and I know people go, but I don't feel anything. I don't know what, it was just a little necklace. And if you only wear that, if you're in touch with it, when you're ready to shift your life and let go of heavy baggage you no longer need, you may go kicking and screaming because you think you need it, but the universe knows better and you're going to have to release it. So, oh my God, it was amazing. I wouldn't wear that stone again. I can't tell you how long I waited because I lost my gallery and I had to go find another one with, that day when I put it on, I get this email. So, you have to be open, brave, and trusting that everything on this planet has a purpose. Just like the scientists say there used to be something called junk DNA. Well, haha, no, there is no such thing as junk DNA. Maybe they didn't want us to know what it was, and there's no junk stones. Everything is made up of a salt, or, a crystal, or this or that, and it all affects us. In fact, we are it. Most likely, we have it in us,
Well,
right?
because we now know that in the pineal gland we do have clear quartz. So yes, this is the function of the pineal gland. It's the third eye, and here we have a crystal that is amplifying. What are we amplifying exactly? Could it be our energy? This is really interesting stuff that we are discovering, which is um, backing up the things that people have sensed and known for many centuries. So,
Yes.
that we do have it in us. I just wanted to share one of the beautiful pictures of this oracle so that people can see your artwork. And I wonder, because that's a borage flower, I believe.
Yes.
Did did you and you've got the herons there, so how did you come up with the associations that are in your cards? What is it that tied in herons and borage with celestite?
My intuition. But I'm just going to go back just a tiny bit to talk about the pineal gland for 1 second. Did you know about the child fairy tale Pinocchio? Do you know what Pinocchio means? Do you know that story? And it's fascinating that it would even, with right? Pinocchio and the pineal gland, the pine. Most people don't know that it's about a little boy that's a puppet. The father wants him to be real, but it's more symbolic about what's happening to us. So it even exists in our fairy tales, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's so much that's encoded in our
Yeah.
fairy it's like our mythology, really what that is a map to who we are, the true nature of our world, the true nature of us and who we are. So this is very, very important. So
But yes,
coming
I will go back to your comment. I am an intuitive, I call myself an intuitive artist. I think any artist could be intuitive. They're not all, but they can be. But I actually am guided for reasons I don't always understand to create these images. Now, a lot of my images in the past have been for commissions, and I let people know they're going to be reproduced. The write-ups aren't, but the images are. For the crystal deck, it was just, I sit down and I put my hand to the paper, and I will start doing a thumbnail sketch, and it will come up with the design. And then I have to go find something that, I mean, I have a lot of the crystals myself. I don't have all the plants and things, so I have to go find imagery. But I don't know why at first I'm guided. And I think it's much more complex than even just saying it's the symbolism. I mean, someone pulled that card. I give readings here and I go to fairs, and I never considered myself a reader, but the decks allow me to be the reader. And the woman got this card and she went, "Oh my God, borage, that's my favorite. That's my favorite flower. It's my favorite plant." And I don't know that. Her higher self picks the card. So whatever the makeup of the energy is, I mean, I create these decks. I tell my higher self, I am of service. I've been an artist my whole life. I didn't know 5 years ago I was going to be doing the Oracle decks. I was guided by people, that they kept coming in and saying, this is what you should do. And eventually I had to do it in order to stop the universe. And so I just trust. I don't know. I know it's beauty. I will pick something that seems beautiful to me. The beings, I mean, I'm doing a fourth deck now called the Divine Nature of Plants with a medical intuitive. And I told her, if you're hiring me to be the illustrator, you do understand it's going to be whatever comes out. And she was fine with that. And it's the same thing. I just start sketching whatever. I mean, I believe that there are plant beings. And so all my pictures have plant beings. I don't know if she expected that. And the same thing with the crystals. If there are forces working behind the scene for like celestite, I mean, to me, it's an angelic stone. So it's going to have beings in it, but I go by, it's almost like automatic writing. Do you know, I allow it to come out and then I figure it out after. I don't figure it out before. I don't go, okay, borage goes with this and that. I just start this look. I don't know. It's how do you have a poet say how he comes up with the words, It comes from someplace beyond the conscious mind. But I do know all the schooling and all the technical. I can't do it unless it's beautiful. It has to resonate beauty in me, because to me, beauty is the same frequency as love and gratitude. I mean, it brings peace to the body. And so it has to be beautiful.
Well, I would say that you're absolutely right about the importance of beauty, because beauty raises our frequency, our spirit. And it is a tragedy that where we used to build beautiful buildings, um, according to the golden ratio, and knowing that that lifts the spirit. We are building in what is quite aptly called a brutalist style, and that seems to be all we want to build. And you have to ask why
Mm-hmm.
you are commissioning or allowing planning are deliberately choosing a brutalist style, a style that's actually called brutalism. So why is it that our town planners are deliberately choosing a style that is called brutalist rather than looking for something that lifts and is light? And we might call it fashion, we might call it, the desire to be modern, and we might call it the desire to break free from the past. Well, we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because beauty is very important. And speaking of beauty, your cards are exactly that. So here is another one. And we have the aquamarine on the top, and we have the flowers, which are a part of all of them. We have a beautiful dove-like bird, and then of course there are the dolphins here. And this is the stuff of not just the imagination, but it's the stuff of the soul. And in fact, what have we got on the top? We've got the earth,
Mm-hmm. And I
and would that be
think
Jupiter?
Jupiter, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Up
Jupiter
of
right
these
there.
columns, yes. And there's two hands holding up the whole scene, and there are blue crabs, I guess. There's a certain species of crabs. They're hidden right in there. And one of the things that I loved about it, after I look it up after I look, draw and paint it, and the male of that species, when the female has to molt and take the shell, her outer shell off, he protects her until it grows back. He stays by her side until it grows back. So
Well,
levels of symbolism there.
there is, and the flower that you've got there looks like a gardenia.
It's a
Um,
gardenia, yes.
So the,
Yes. It's an orchid and a gardenia, actually.
well, if everybody just looks very closely at the detail here, you have the two people. Um, this could be interpreted in two ways. It could be the veins in the body, but it could be the roots as well. Could
Absolutely. That's what I hope people are going to do. To go back to something you said before, you brought up the concept of questioning. So number one has to me, if you're adventurous, you're a questioner, and the other way around. You have to risk asking questions and not just following. And so the cards, you can look at the cards the way I created them, and you can read what I wrote. You can also, before you even do that, just look at it and what does your intuition or your higher self bring your eyes to? What do you notice? What catches your attention? Because that's important too. Because what you see is right now what, to me, again, there's no randomness to anything. Every object you see in life is literal and it's also symbolic. You don't attract things for no reason at all. I don't believe we're machines that are just wound up and then we go about our lives and you just happen to bang into a wall and this and that just because the way it was wound. And I don't have that view on life. I believe that there are other forces here with us that we don't understand or know about. And that would be a whole program to go into that. But I just focus on the fact that, and I go back to trying to add my own personal and universal beauty into the world. You don't have to be anything special to shift the world. As far as I'm concerned, if you emanate, well, even the simple things of gratitude, love, and beauty, just those three things, if you, and who you meet during the day, and or even the fact that you don't have to be a fashionable person, but you have to be someone who loves yourself enough to honor your own body, and how you look is part of that. You don't have to be, egotistical about it, but you can come from the heart. And by the way, a lot of people don't understand that concept coming from the heart. They think when we say that we're talking about the organ. We're not talking about the organ. What I've heard from some of my readings, and again, we're all hearing, we read, we talk. There's nothing really that's our own thought. We all share and it all gets mushed up together. So what I have heard is between your spine and your heart is where your soul lies, or your sentience. That's the energetic portal between. And if you touch your heart with your two fingers, you're touching your soul. In other words, this is a biosuit, right? If you were to rip the biosuit off, your soul or sentience is timeless. It's universal. It is you. Your name might be this in this lifetime. You may have gray hair right now, whatever, brown hair, but what your sentience is, the heart, behind the heart, that is always and forever. It's eternal. So when we say that come from the heart, we're not just saying the word like romantic love, or just being a nice person, which is good to do, but it is something that is universal. It is beyond the scope of what's happening on this planet, or the people controlling us, or the bad things or the good things that happen in your life. You are always in touch with that, but you can always disengage from it too. We have free will. So you can let that vibration and energy, of which the stone's a part of, as far as I'm concerned. Do you know, I just look at this beautiful piece of lilac. This is, there's regular rose quartz with a little pinker, and this is lilac. When I keep this by me, it shifts my mood every time I look at it. There's something about, right? So it isn't, it's everything in your life. You can't compartmentalize things. It's all, I look at things as spherical. Everything is together, rotating together, no beginning, no end. So to get back to the heart, so it isn't your chest and the beating organ that's in there, although that is very close to your sentience that we're talking about. This is something that goes beyond. And in that card, it's a universe, whether it's rose, quartz, or any other stone. Every stone has a certain personality. The aquamarine is my birthstone. It's just think of the color of it, you know, it's like, it's almost like the ocean in a way, right? It's got the flow and the ebb and the calmness of it. And so you have to kind of get to know each stone, but they're here. I mean, some of them will help you connect with your sentience quicker, and that's their job. Others are meant to calm you. Others are meant to bring clarity to your mind. You know, it's not like all stones do the same thing. You know, they all have a slightly different personality.
They don't. And, you know, the way that I've been using them for me personally is I sit with them and I meditate. And so every time I bring a new stone in, I spend time with it. I learn what chakra it
Mhm.
connects with. Um, and, you know, I think I've talked about the green fluorite experience, which is very physical, and the yellow citrine, which is very, very physical. But it's not always physical. Sometimes it's imagery, just like with you. And I or just like a telepathic thought that comes in. And
Yes.
the best example of that is blue chalcedony, which I haven't got next to me. But my blue chalcedony, when it arrived, um, was just extraordinary because I was working with my throat chakra with it. And I just heard the words, be the music,
Mhm.
be the music. I thought, what on earth does that mean? So I then suddenly started to want to sing,
Oh,
singing or the music. And of course it's that thing about using your voice to raise your vibration, because within about 2 weeks I interviewed the wonderful Jonathan Goldman about the about sound for
mhm.
he and he was talking to me about the importance of vowel sounds and humming. And I thought, be the music, be the music. So, and I don't remember what the question was that I started my meditation with, but it was in answer to a question. And so there it is. So these are all very personal experiences. And when I'm teaching my clients as part of their healing, when we finish our hypnotherapy work in a session, and I want them to take something with them that's going to work with them and inspire them, and they choose a crystal and they go home and they start working with that, the experiences are always different.
And that's a good point. People should not be comparing,
Yeah.
and shouldn't be and reading is fine, but not the how to do. I mean, as we're speaking, I'm holding a piece of shungite, and most people, if you're into crystals, will know that it's a protection stone against the electronic. Well, I was holding it and you're talking, and I'm feeling it move up my arms around me, just like in Matrix when he puts the movie The Matrix, and he puts his hands into the whatever the down the rabbit hole mirror was, and then it starts consuming his body. And I realized it's forming a suit of energy around me to protect me from the computer. My mind just, I mean, I felt it going up my body, and I'm like, ooh, it's now, will everyone do that? No, but we've been focusing on it. It's, again, you can't go, well, you can do it, I can't do it. All you have to do is start by holding it. It will do the rest for you. You just hold it, and eventually, as you, it would be like getting to know any other family, the more you come over and visit, the more they'll get to know you, and vice versa. So again, yes, the important thing is not to compare how other people's experiences are, but to have your own, and and validate that. It's as important as anything else. And the same thing, a lot of us went to school and there was competition, and this one did it this way and you were supposed to do it better, and blah, blah, blah. This is not about competition. It's not like, oh, you can do it, I can't, I wish I could. No, everyone does it. It's all happening. It's a universal energetic thing, and it's how it's going to manifest for you. And once we can pull out of, and that's part of the egoic mind, it thinks there's a should, and you got to get rid of that. But just enjoy the beauty to start. That's all you have to do, is just select them for their beauty, and you're going to find you need them for more than that.
Perfect. That is a beautiful note on which to end this conversation. And I hope that it inspires everyone. The deck that we have been discussing and looking at is this one, Crystal Clear Oracle. And I'll be putting a link to how people can find it in the description box. But if people want to find you, to know more about you and your work and perhaps get in touch with you, how do they do that, Nadine?
Well, my website is www.thethirdEyestudio.com. And then I'm on Instagram and TikTok. I think Nadine Gordon-Taylor is enough that they can find me. It's The Third Eye Studio, but I find it just as easy if I just say Nadine Gordon-Taylor. And on the deck itself, when you buy it, there's information in there too. There's information on my website, and I love when people contact me. And you know, obviously, if you have a question, or if you, especially if they have an experience, I love when people share their experiences and the synchronicities.
Yeah, those are always the best. Thank you once again, Nadine.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
And thank you all for watching. Next time, we're going to be looking at yoga and the 5 elements. Until then, goodbye.